Kotaga Mbagu.
Are we going to shoot?
Anyway, so guys, you know, so many people have served on the entire committee, and many have been aspiring to be on the committee, but a lot of things happen behind the scenes that actually guys don't see. So with us today, we have Brian Kamsime, first president that we had. He served for 5 seasons. 5 solid seasons. That was in like
uninterrupted.
Years.
That's 5 years.
And also he happens to be privileged to be one of the longest serving commoners in the league. From day one, he has not tested a shield.
We have won the swimming shield, so twice undisputed in the swimming ones.
And of course, Nwajira Stephen, TY Goat, has been around since season 9.
Today I identify as a member of Kasasi FC. I think when Chitegan say anyone on set, anyone viewing.
And counsel, senior counsel, junior lawyer. Yeah, junior lawyer.
I identify as junior counsel.
Junior counsel.
Hey.
Musiventa Ferdinand Kasheka. Mugudu Goat also.
I agree.
Are you the Mugudu Goat or it's Muhira Ferdinand?
You know, he sometimes masquerades as a...
They say
he uses my name. He
just enjoys the name.
Yeah.
Jumbo. They mentioned Ferdinand and then he can come in, but
one is Ferdinand, another one is Ferdinand.
So I think the difference might be because one comes from Bushenyi, another one comes from Kashari. But let me drink.
They use the same road when going back home. So it's the same.
I was also confused at some point. I didn't know which Ferdinand was the goat in Mugudu. But there's a game I watched at Kings Park. Boys Zogo Katewa 2 free kicks in one game.
Yeah.
Of course, Mugudu lost the game like 6-3, but Akai in a hat-trick.
Well, carry on prime, yeah.
It was like those days when Ronaldo came back to United. United Bakaba Jinozia 4-3. Ronaldo hat-trick, then he posts, happy for my hat-trick, hard luck boys.
I'm sure I'm not that guy.
So Fadi, welcome.
Thank you.
So you'll be telling us why you asked us to host you here.
I did?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's been some bread exchanged. Because
do you see that I look like I'm a corrupt man?
I've not eaten anything.
So Zibo, tell us, you served for 5 seasons. That was like in 2 years, 3 years. When the league had just started, there were no sponsors. I think you were like 4 guys on the committee.
Well, that's a very interesting discussion to have. But you may need to understand the preamble of what really happened for the league to start. And I saw Aina, I think, on one of the episodes, giving the background of the league. And yes, he did say a lot, but a couple of things that were missed out, especially in terms of management. The first friendly game we played was between Kajogo and Kashoro. Second game, that's at Nakasero Primary. Second game was between Kafubs and Mugudu. That is Fadi's team, the team he subscribes to. So after the first game between Kashoro and Kajogo, if I remember well, I think Job and a couple of guys had brought a crate of beer to drink after the game. Unfortunately, it was one brand. So,
care to tell us the brand?
No, I won't mention the brand, but they drink. So we have that crate of beer, about 20 plus guys. So
20 plus guys?
Yeah, 20 plus guys on one crate.
How many bottles?
And that is now 2014. 2014, the teams, so a couple of the members had been playing in the Sunday Soccer League. I think Fadi was also in one of them. Was it White Doves or?
No, I was playing for Panthers. At the time, I was still at LDC.
Yes.
And we were playing with some Budonians and we used to play for that team.
Fadi, please. Sorry for interrupting you. 2014, you were at LDC.
No, that is actually 2013.
2013.
Fadi, don't lie. This man started lecturing in UCU around 2009.
That's not entirely true. I know you wanted this opportunity to sort of expose me, but I joined LDC in September 2012 and finished after Easter in no. I think about August in 2013, and then I started to teach at UCU in January 2014.
Fast tracking.
Fast tracking him. To probably continue my story, Fadi was playing in Panthers. Yes. So in Sunday Soccer League, we had Panthers, Accumulators, a very dangerous team that had big league players. Yeah. We had Tazobalo, I think, from Budo as well. Yeah. And a couple of other teams.
Actually, there is a Bright Stars player. I think he's their captain. He has just had a national... Yes, Senkatuka was there.
Andy the defender?
Yes, he's just had a call-up. He was playing in that league.
In that league. So Sunday Soccer League.
How old is that gentleman?
That one?
He was young also then.
Yeah. So what had been happening was the guys from Ntare, at the time were called Ntare as a team, like Ntare FC. Unfortunately, because guys over used to beat us, and when they would beat the team, they would, throw a lot of jab at us, in terms of words. Whatever man you I won't be a bit tribalistic, but they would make those comments. So we had rebranded to Crichton FC at the time. So we played that first game. Guys are drinking beer, and they say, "But you guys, why don't we start our own league?" And some of the discussions that you have over probably some bit of beer can easily materialize. So guys, tutanike league yitu tutueshambire Sunday. Trouble was, how do we start a league and run it? So guys there, I remember it was Kenneth Ayabazibwe who said, "Katukore league." So in that mix, Vanjira, Zibo,
your big bro,
my big bro, Zibo, you're the president. Like, that's the guys, you guys. So I remember the words, it could have been Cubs, Cubs Dan of Kashoro, who said, "Echinchukwate mugai." So that's the guy, Nkwato Murichi, what is that? Chukwatam. So in that same engagement, he said, "Bajira Davis, Davis, ba treasurer."
Yokuzo.
Davis Battery is my cousin. You cut to the So there's also a guy called Gordon Murangira, a Kajogo player as well. Kajogo, then in that same mix, we appoint him facilities manager.
Distant cousin.
Another one is coming. And then we needed a publicity secretary. So there was a guy called Lincoln. He had come from UCU. He had just done, I think, his mass comm degree. There's Lincoln, actually mass communication. So he becomes the publicity of the league. So the next issue we had on our table was, what do we do? Now, me and Davis had a background of a little bit of cricket. So we think about a format for the league. We could do a round-robin format where you play a guy once in a season and then the top two go to the finale. Yeah, so there was not much to agree or disagree on, and that was a format that was picked for the Lion League. Yeah, we needed to follow, of course, the rules of football, the 18 rules of football, excluding the 19th, which is common sense. So the 18 rules of football go into play, but then we needed to add a couple of things, and one of them was, on a given day, we do not need to have a draw for an NLL game. So we said, let's have penalties on the day.
I think what comes to mind is Kabzi's penalty.
Exactly. So we draw the rules, the format, and we're like, okay, if there's any draw, straight no Muzomurichi or move winner. So that's how the league picks up. But there's something I really have always wanted to share about how Sunday soccer leagues or alumni leagues picked up. When you look at the other leagues, you have the Budo League, you have the Smart League. You probably, I won't mention the other league, the guys, the Bull guys, the Chapa guys, but it's okay. You'll probably notice that most of the guys that have managed Sunday soccer leagues have their background from, most of the guys that have played or play or managed alumni leagues have their background from the Sunday soccer league. You look at the president, the current president of Budo League, Ines Muko.
Akampa.
Akampa was playing, I think, in your team, was in Panthers as well.
Yes.
You look at Harold. Harold was the first president for the Budo League, was in Tazobalo.
He also played for Panthers.
He also played for Panthers. You look at Bernard Mukasa, CEO Smart League, was an official and I think CEO at the time for the Sunday soccer leagues.
So Bernard had not kicked a ball.
Bernard never used to kick a ball.
No, he was a coach. He was
He was the coach.
Zibo. Or Kota Kuruga.
Aaron comes into play later when Team Bonshe had been formulated. So now in terms of how the league is formed, that's the simple background. The challenge, what really happened was, now we needed to form for the other teams. So we had the 4 teams, but then how were we going to run the teams? So we contacted a number of people, including Aaron. You just mentioned Oron to form a team, and that was Team Bonshe. We had also contacted Mage, Rasta, to also come up with a team. We had
Which
Peter.
team did he come up with?
He unfortunately, Bonshe was, his team. But Bonshe has a number of years in there. The cohort is quite big, so it was the same, the same cohort as Aaron, as Mark and the rest, and Graham. So we contacted Peter of Anshera, Peter Mwesigwa.
Actually,
my young brother.
Actually, initially, if you remember,
yes.
most of the younger teams, Machando, Nshera.
You cannot say Machando before Shera.
Okay, I was good. Kachanchari, I'm going by the years. Only that those two are commoners. So Kachanchari and Machando and Nshera moved outside. Out of Mugudu, because they were my players. I remember as captain in season 2 when we won the championship. I think you can see the star. It's here. You can continue now.
So that joke of Muguchan Charado is Kawa Namazum. Not just a joke.
No, so at the time, I can say that at the time we had to help these young players come into the league, because most of them were not playing in the Sunday league, and they could only identify with us at the time, because
we were the youngest team.
We were the youngest team, and these were the people who were in S3, S2, and S1. At the time, we were in S4.
And they could not afford 60K league fees.
No, it was a bit of a stretch for them.
Yeah.
120K.
Because 120K is actually even overrated. There was a time, I think season 1, our league expenses where we needed to pay the referee 5K per game. So we used to play. 2 games in a day. That was 10K. And then the pitch we used to pay about 20K, 20,000 Uganda shillings, and
that's Nakawa.
That's at UICT Nakawa. Yeah. And how we're getting the pitch, I think it was, I won't mention how, but I mean, by the time you pay 20K for a pitch, it means there's some bit of goodwill in there. So 85K would run the entire season. And it is a fact. So when you're running at 85K, the treasurer, Mr. Davis Karashani, was very idle. I remember there was a time he needed to, when he'd look at his items to purchase, he would need a whistle, a red card, a yellow card.
Actually,
because the linesmen were league guys. You would pick from the league guys.
Just get the shattered.
I wanted to ask, by the time we started buying team balls, were you still the president?
No. I had left. I left.
Why did you need linesmen?
We had offsides because at first there were the 18 rules they were applying.
Yeah,
we had offsides.
and we're
When we
playing a full pitch,
11
full
aside.
pitch. So the ground was so big. Unfortunately, it being big was also a problem and a hazard to some of the players. I remember there's a gentleman called Ronaldo Nwajira. Ronald used to play for Kafubs.
He asked for water.
Not only water, he asked for an ambulance. So he appears for his first game at UICT, and he's very excited to play football after a long time. He made just one run. He used to be a striker. He made a single run, and the man collapsed on the ground. So when he collapsed, of course, it meant he needed to be, rushed to a hospital, but we didn't think it was that serious. And the man kept on the ground for quite some time until he was picked and put into a car and he was moved away. So the other decision that was made at that time was we must have an ambulance on site. Because it's when you look at the FIFA regulation, for match day you must have an ambulance on site. So that added an ambulance to management of the league. So when that was added, that's an extra expense on your 85k budget. So
that's when it moved to 120k.
It moved to 120k. So basically that was the preamble of how all these things started. Yes.
Yes. It's good you're talking about the finances of the league, because now we are looking at where the league is right now. I can't even say the budget we have as a league would cause uproar. URA guys will start coming for us as a league. How did you manage as president at the time? 80k league fees, 85k. You're there. You have all these expenses, the expectations from guys. How did you manage with your committee, to see where we have reached and how you did it back then? Did you have sponsors? Did you touch your own pockets? Because I'm saying this so that anyone who wants to become president can know where we have come from and what we expect from them.
That's a very good question. I have told a couple of guys, especially the incoming leaders into the league, that for a president of the NLL, you must have some bit of capacity in terms of finances, because it is a given. You must input your personal incomes. Now, how did we manage?
Is out of the
But, Commander, can you move center one? You mentioned you've talked to some incoming leaders. Who are those people you've been talking to? Because I'm here, you've not talked to me. I've not talked to the man, and I'm an aspiring leader.
You're an aspiring leader. We'll probably talk. So how did we manage? We didn't anticipate that would have a budget going beyond the 100k, 120k, or 85k. Unfortunately, when we got to the finale of season 1, we realized we need trophies. So the question was, where do we get the trophies from? Davis Karashan, being a former player of the national cricket team and captain,
had some trophies to spare.
Had so many trophies in the house. We used to be housemates. We used to live in the same house. So we just picked about 20 trophies. So we picked 20 trophies. So a guy would receive, for example, I remember Alishe at the time was young player of the season. But what he received was a man of the match award that was written on Bermuda versus Uganda. A cricket award. So how did we do this?
An instruction to return it after.
Of course. As a guy, you return the what? After. So I remember
I'm sure the trophy didn't leave the ground.
No chance. So I remember that day of the finale, we aligned all the trophies on top of a car bonnet. So we'd read a guy, hey, the guy comes and picks his
You didn't
trophy.
even have a table.
Table for what? I'm telling you, there was even no budget for a table. So guys get their trophies, and somehow we used to manage like that. Season 2 brought in some changes, because now we needed to admit more teams. And so that meant an increased budget. But when you think about it, you're probably going to add an ambulance, add a couple of 1 or 2 or 3 trophies, and small facilitation. And so the budgets still kept low. But in terms of sponsorship, we're a bit lucky. when we tried to sell the idea of the league to a couple of hobbies, they were willing to come and, give us some money. I surely cannot leave this without saying, mentioning Abraham Pumire, Council Abraham Pumire of, I think, Bashasha and Company Advocates. He's probably one of those guys who would push in for 5 million into the league, unbothered. So
isn't that
as
like
it should?
4 times your budget?
Yeah. The only challenge was it would come at the end of the season. Oh. So you run the season and then he calls you, say, hey, John Shanga, come and pick some money to run the league. So we built capacity in terms of finances and things like that, in that kind of way. Bashasha himself, Herbert.
You mentioned both. Bashasha used to supply the league with balls, like
you'd get balls, you'd get seated tires balls, you'd have umbrellas.
Even some of the awards,
flasks
and what?
Yes, you'd receive those, and at the time he'd also give us trophies. So you'd receive trophies. So the budget kept low. There's a guy called he's a commissioner in prisons, and he owns Roche Sounds. He would give us music to run the league. Like, you have music, don't pay, come and. So I think for the start it was goodwill from members, from hobbies, and really you didn't even need any governance, check-ins or check-ups to know how you're running, because I think after my presidency, Noe Rugwewe comes in. Noe used to say, I won't mention this one, but he would say, Hazava, so you'll add in the words, you will all serve on this committee.
And you will feel it.
And you will feel it, because it was so small.
When you mention old boys chipping in, goodwill, music system, trophies, doesn't that pose a challenge for our current hobbies, nka Mayanja Juice, Marvin Oshera? I don't know why they are selling their products. They should be supplying.
They should be supplying.
Goodwill.
Goodwill,
Mayanja everything juice today for free.
I surely agree and also don't agree with you in one or two ways, because if you're going to run football is a business. And so today, you need to run sport as a business, because, NLL is a legal entity, it can be sued. So there are people in the league who are there to make finances. So he is there to make money. So let him make money. At the time, it wasn't like that. But if you're going to run a business successfully, you must take that direction. So he's safe for that.
Actually, guys, we can't talk about league sponsors without talking about our own sponsors here as NLL Echoes. We have Online Chupa, who always give us some drinks, and Big Shots Photography.
Now that one is an old boy that is giving us goodwill.
But you should have seen pictures when he came into the league. Very poor young man.
So I had a conversation with Mr. Ine, and I asked him, and I like one thing about him is his honesty. I asked him, Pick Shots, Naine who is bigger. He told me Pick Shots is way bigger than me. Then I asked him, how do you commit these cameras every Sunday to take this picture? He said, I can't even take a job because the league has made me. And I think he's grateful for that. That's why he will give you goodwill. I can imagine that even Online Chupa, if you people start ordering from Online Chupa, then he will never stop giving NLL Echoes drinks, because he knows there is some sort of benefit. But that also goes to the purpose of the league, in my view, is that people need to grow. If you came as a child, you have to live, you have to become a man. And I think those that have taken benefit will definitely be men. Big Shots.
Ferdinand, do you want to contest for NLL president? At this point, says you know how.
He has a manifesto.
You're being too sensible for our podcast.
But I'll probably say something about this Ferdinand guy. I think you're underrating the man. I first met this aspiring candidate in, should I mention the year? 2001. 2001 I was in S1, Ferdinand was in P7 VAC. I think he was at Shimoni. So we meet at a youth camp at Taiba under All Saints. So I meet Fadi during the youth camp, and we play soccer on the same team as kids. Okay, I wasn't a kid, but he was a kid. Just 1 year difference. So we played a game. The next year, Fadi joins Intare in 2002, and he's brought to Africa, the same house. Homeboy, I last saw you last year at Taiba, at the youth camp. And we meet, and that's how we kicked off our friendship. So today, it's been over 20 years of knowing this guy, and I think whatever he's planning to do, right candidate.
When you told me that you met him, when you told me that story some time back, my assumption was boys are carrying a municipal. There's that story Imbe gave us of when you went near the police station in Mbara and you were juggling the ball.
Yes.
So I thought maybe you were meeting around those areas. So I
that
didn't assume the man went to Kampala for primary school.
He was at Shimoni, I heard.
Yeah, he was at Shimoni. The former Shimoni.
What?
Former Shimoni, now Kingdom Kampala.
Now Kingdom Kampala.
you know when we joined Tare in 2002, hatiza tukishana stories zitu za Power Rangers, Samurai X, Ghostbusters, Godzilla. Haza vana nkimwe bari barubushenyi za kashozi much twanjera. Hapo gano ndangambi.
That man.
Akari man, anyway.
If you meet guys that went to Kashozi Primary School here, there's no way they can know Power Rangers.
But the other thing I must say, I can remember about 4 or 5 schools. Rukunjiri Universal, Kashozi, Bweranyanji. I think there was a school in Kasese. Those kids were smart. Really smart.
Their minds.
Yeah, some of them could hardly speak English, but they could definitely write it. There was one that I liked the most. They would ask in S1, say, which school? Then you say Shimoni, and someone says Kashozi, or something like that. Then there are some guys who would say KPS. Now, at the time, Shimoni here was in its last years of being a cool school, because KPS, Green Hill were coming up. Of course, there was Lohana. That seemed out of reach, sort of. So when someone say KPS, you say you also fear them. Just kushunshura. Na shange kereka prepare.
Who was that? Was that Walter?
Bargayome Raymond, my friend, he now lives in Canada. Akario Festo Asimwe. The number of people, the number of guys, they seemed a little cool. So you'd mistake them for people that had been from Kampala. It wasn't a big deal. It's just funny. Yeah.
In our whenever that thing would come up of saying, come, get up, introduce yourself, mention the school you're from. We had boys. Kawacha boys can't get Dawango Primary School. Dawango Primary School. There's another one from Aunt Jane. So our boys go to shake card. How do you go to a school where you Aunt Jane and you're comfortable starting from there up to P7? Not serious.
So I kind of could at some point.
Hey,
somewhere else.
Very intelligent boys. Very intelligent.
So Fadi.
Yes.
You've heard the man.
Yeah.
He has served on committee where they were paying league fees of 80K. They went to 500K, like that. Now we are in millions. And I've heard a rumor that you're planning to do what? To stand against me for president of Ontari League. Should I step down or I let you go?
Well,
because I have the capital. Social capital.
You see,
My friends have many.
First of all, yes, that is true. I'm aspiring to be president of the league, and not that I doubt your capital. The only issue is that it includes me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
No, but I have a number of ideas that I for the league. I've thought about this for quite a while. I've served on the committee as well, but in a position that does not include managing the league. I was chairman of the DC. I think I was the first chair, and the structures that are built around the DC were, I can't say I was alone, but the team that I had allowed us to work in a way that was structured and organized, and I believe that some of those things can come and also help the league. It also helped me get some sort of insight into what was happening in the league, because Aine, the president at the time, was part of DC. And of course we managed different disputes, including that the famous Inshera dispute. Kabuza bagai hati esefu mpira guti yetugwaza. We can't
One
give
against the Vichuni.
Yes, that's funny. Because everyone knew that was supposed to be a goal, but it was never a goal. There's only so much that we could do. So I have served on the committee as such. I've also led Mugudu, of course, in the formative years. When you were saying those small budgets, you would and were encouraging players, some of whom are from those teams, your teams that I spoke about earlier, is that I led the team for about 3-4 seasons, and then I handed over. Konka muhirwa hata vile no yako jangu naenda kurga mtomatera. So we have I left management of the team, but of course I support in every way that I can. But I like the league. I love the league. And I think we are scratching the surface. The league can be more, a lot more. Not in terms of aura points, and I'm sure that's what Wajira would be interested in.
Aura point. Nyona potea gang. Ours is aura points. We want venues in right now, even the venues in Uganda, we want that place we play that in Kigali. That's where I want to play. That's where I want to play every Sunday.
Oh, now you try number.
Aura points.
Those are the aura points you're looking for.
Yes.
But then when you talk about those aura points, there are a couple of things that you forget. The biggest challenge that the league has always had from day one was always the pitch. Up to today. However, I know with the change in leadership, change in management, these problems will be solved. So I think we still have to be a little bit more patient.
For us as Potea gang, if Fadi can promise us that once he's president, we are going to be playing from
IPRC
every Sunday. Just what the sign will be for us, we just stick.
We have had luck to have a president like Aaron, who has had good vision. In my view, we share this vision to have a home. And one of the things that I would love to achieve is to provide a home for the entire league. Of course, now we understand how to manage the pitch because of the problems we have seen with Kings Park, now with Kampala Quality and Maroons just the other week. So I'm sure the entire fraternity understands that we like to play football, but we must manage the pitch. So we will eventually have a home. I have this belief. And there are several ideas around how to finally obtain a home. And the goal would be that maybe after Fort Portal, we should be able to play a final at our own home. And you see, the thing is that it's not supposed to be just my idea. It's supposed to be our idea. If I have an idea and you can't support it, I can't achieve much. Because na capacity never so never ya change. But you see by now, there is not much you can do. Several nkabika esente zawe. No, but seriously, I think collectively we can be able to get a home and we can deliver it. We can deliver it in stages. If you recall, our first game at Kings Park, it was bad. I remember we had mud knee height by the end of the, but we had a good time that day. I remember under the white tents. Look at Kings Park now. It might have taken them a couple of years, but it's a better ground now. So I want to know, I want to believe, that we can deliver a ground. The one other thing that is extremely important to me is the people in the league. The people. When a person joins the league as a first year, what do they get from the league? Some of these things cannot be, are almost intangible, like guidance. I told, I think I spoke to Inshaza, I think, if I recall correctly. And I told him, there are no problems you're going to face I didn't face. No magayo ko yan said. Ati orari otine sapa. Ento naje harobuza mburire. Ati bonderi yo no. Umwana kanyose. But no, there are soft things. Gaya kainta. There are soft things such as just guidance. Yes, but that's okay. We are there for. If I am elected, it will be people. People are extremely important to me. There are young lawyers in there looking for guidance every step of the way. It doesn't require money, just requires you to be there. We have young lawyers, those that are in different departments now. You have Henry, you have MVP. MVP is actually my client.
Numaka video ka Mnyagwa. You think I'm an everyday person? I'm a lawyer, my friend.
Yeah. So you find there are engineers, you find doctors, all those kinds of people. They are young, they need guidance. But now that is outside, not really outside league activities, but beyond what football is. People say that football is just a vehicle. It's just a reason for us to congregate. But the actual reason that we come for the league is so that we meet our brothers. And our brothers, and become our brothers' keepers. And sure, if you recall, those days when I used to MC during the Kings Park, I used to ensure that all the OBs bought beer for younger ones. I didn't wait for the older OBs to actually take up that role. I made sure that they did. But that's just the smallest of things.
So, Nwajira, this man, what he's trying to say is that he's the original Luseke man of the league. Through his contacts, he was covering Luseke and then distributing down to...
That's actually true, because you'd find out, tell Aine, call Aine on them. I say, buy this team a crate of beer. Buy that team a crate of beer. But then now becomes conversation. I've told a few people that have asked me what I want to do in the first days. I want to speak to every team member. So I hope that I can be able to have a drink with 2 or 3 teams every Sunday to understand the challenges beyond just the football, because there is just football, but there is more to that, and I'm sure you can recognize that already.
Yeah, I could probably give you a bit of supplement on that. When you talk about stuff that is beyond football in the LLN, in the Land League,
NLL, hard.
Your income, yeah, if you're being very, very keen with how things run, just make an assumption and say the league is a sovereign country. So you have your domestic policy, you have your foreign policy. So it simply means that an incoming leader must know both the domestic policy, what happens within the Lion League, and what is beyond the Lion League. So you probably think about what happened in Kigali. That's football diplomacy. Yeah. It's right beyond just the game. So the incoming leaders probably need to know this, that it's not just what's on the ground.
I think this is where Nwajira talks about the shield in the cockpit.
But fortunately, the Lion League has become a lifestyle for many of us. Sunday on the ground, Sunday on the ground.
Football diplomacy, and I remembered so when we were going to Kigali, we had some issues, and it was not yet done until it was done. Like we were announcing we'll be in Kigali, but things were not yet clear.
Yes.
So there's a point where they had to meet, I think, the ambassador of Rwanda and High Commissioner of Rwanda. And on that day, I think it was
14th of February. 14th February 2024. That was the time.
Zibaka Jwale Suti. I saw those pictures of Zibono Run. Baka was with Amasuti. I think when they are telling them Baka Kagame will probably be on voice call.
No, you may need to know that my master's was in international relations and diplomatic studies, so it wasn't by coincidence for me to be in that meeting.
No, but the whole Kigali process was interesting for me in particular. Why? When the organization was with very many heads, different people were giving different solutions. And I remember Aine called me and he had a chat. And he said, I told him I am going to go this way and I would want to take the shield and to carry the shield. So we planned how to flag off the shield and the buses and disappear the shield. The shield appearing again in the cockpit was not a mistake. It was not a coincidence. It was something that was meticulously planned. And it was a bit of fun. It was some good fun. And
How did you convince the pilot to take that picture?
Hati emweje harimu state secrets. Hati jitwasa kutugambira because now my value.
There was an idea that was floated to Rwanda Air for the Lion League flag to fly on one of the planes that was supposed to move the shield, and the guy said, Mwach Susa. No, that one won't happen.
No, but Rwanda Air was very good to us. It gave us a good discount. The shield flew business.
We had planned to do all these things by the that you guys are talking about as in Shera.
As in Shera.
Yeah, flying the thing over the. It was just about them saying Mwach Susa.
But you see, I admire Shera a lot. Why? They gave the league a different identity out there and good mileage, and many other teams emulate, and that has given the league a lot of mileage out there, and it's a good thing. Now what we want to do, what I would love to do, is now with that increase what you would otherwise call boots on the ground and ensure that we affect the people. We are lucky now in Shaza, they are at campus.
And Kashani.
And they're already in the league. They can afford that. That's a good thing. How do you think they afford that? I think it's because the league is able to support them.
There's actually, I've been told guys that are still doing Cantab senior 6 boys. I think they just finished. But because of the team.
Actually, that was called
Kachai.
Kachai.
Wakachai FC, which is something like
Yeah, it's actually encouraged. The only thing that I'm going to discourage, I probably must say, Bonfubs. Sorry, Bonshe and yes, Bonfubs.
Bonshe Kafubs.
Bonshe and Kafubs. I don't think that's a helpful partnership. My view would be that now Bonshe would partner with Kachai. Kafubs would partner with Kasasi, and they find a way.
But now you see the challenge with that is if Kafubs, for instance, partners with Kasasi.
All the players.
Na Edmundo takukwata.
No, no. By the way,
they are best player.
50-50.
You see,
The player of Kasasi.
The best
You
player
see-
of
you see-
Kafubs cannot smell.
my idea is that football is not the end result. It's just a vehicle. At the end of the day, you won't have problems with league fees. You'll be able to mentor those. I want to believe that when Ebichunchu was still the Ebichunchu that was there, they helped some of the players.
We would have loved to merge with the Chungu.
And
And would have loved to merge with the
Yes, because you see, you can have a few minutes. They might not play the final, but they'll have a few minutes there to stretch. But they'll be able to guide you. You can tell that from like Brian's experience. He has a lot of guidance to give because of the time he has spent in the league and probably his age.
His age,
Yeah. So you would benefit from such partnerships. I want to believe. But also the point is to leverage our reach to get more sponsorship. I think we have teams with sponsors, so many sponsors. Every team has a sponsor, yeah? But the league
has very few sponsors.
Yes.
This is where the Office of Corporate Affairs comes in.
Yeah.
And the people who want to come for that.
I could actually supplement on what Fadi is saying about sponsorships with the teams and sponsorships with the league. Now, the part of the original plan was to make sure teams can sustain themselves. So that was expected. Teams should be able to run their business, do all that kind of work. So at the end of the day, the head, which is the NLL, was always going to be okay with teams having more sponsors than the actual league itself. So for me, I think it is okay, and that reduces on the workload for the committee and things like that.
Whereas I agree with you, because people sponsor what they identify with. That's okay. What I hope to achieve is to also attract other sponsors for the entire league. So I would, of course, encourage OBs to sponsor their teams. And that's welcome. That's the first step. But then we need sponsors for the entire league because we have great reach. Yeah, we have the numbers, we have the attention, we are thought leaders, and I believe we should have many more sponsors and better deals. We have a good deal right now from our current sponsor, Now Special, but we can even make it. Better. When you think about the ground, it's going to cost a lot of money. So we need people that are willing to invest the money, and we need to give them that exposure. That is what I believe we can do. And we have the capacity to actually do that.
So, yes, you've told us all this, but I had to take you just back to the time when you were DC chair. Are you going to use the same level of strictness as the one used when you were DC chair? Fadia akatukoroza. You see, Aaron has been a very liberal man. He will listen to everyone, put down. So, what should people expect from you in terms of leadership? Not the ideas, leave alone the manifestos.
Yeah.
You as Fadi.
Well, as a person, I do business, then I do fun. Business is business. If we have a rule, we must enforce it. I believe that we are all mature enough to understand that for us to achieve a certain goal, we must take some pain in one way or the other. But I want to believe that I can listen to everyone. And that's why I said at the start that I want to listen to every team. People have what you probably would brush away as personal issues. Yeah, I want to listen. If they affect the league one way or the other, I should be able to find some sort of solution. If I can't, if it's outside the purview of the league, then I'll be candid enough to tell you,
The hardest president we've had as NLL, I think, is Davis. Davis Davis became president, and league fees, I think, when he became president, we had been paying 600K with no fee. Then we moved to 1.2. So collecting a kasente, and on deadline day we had 900K as TY. Everyone. So we had 900K. We were short by 300K. So to SF was treasurer then. Take this. We're going to pay you the extra in the season. SF had accepted. Konkaya wanza kuchirabya mu president. Davis Yagamba deceive. That's the season we missed with Karere. Season 9, yes. Karere naike taka kishiza kasenda. Davis akagamba, whoever doesn't have 1.2 on deadline day, anogi.
But you will also need to understand why the Davis presidency, which was the third presidency, did that. At the time of his presidency, he came in to do a mop-up, a proper clean-up, because things were not going as had planned. We had moved grounds from Nambolet. I don't know, there was so much that was happening, and SF and one man were actually doing a lot of groundwork. So Davis coming in during his presidency was more like a cleanup, because when Davis came in, NL gets registered, so structures are formed, which I would probably now advise the incoming committees to follow the structures, because there was no blueprint. Now the blueprint is there. Follow the structures, and then follow the 5-year strategic plan, which is available everywhere if you need to go through it. It is a very important document that probably the incoming leaders need to follow. So Davis, being Davis, had to follow the rules that he had to set, and things like that.
And I think Zibo is just being polite. Let him tell us the truth. During his presidency, I think, no, it was Rugwebe's presidency.
Yeah.
A certain team defaulted on league fees. So these people had to. So the president at the time had to get money from his own pockets and pay up, because the service providers wanted their money.
you see,
so we don't want our good friend Fadi and his incoming team to suffer the same.
You see, the good thing about, and I said this earlier, the good thing about it is that I have had visibility on how matters are run. Every week, game week, has an expense. There are expenses out there. And finance might not be the most difficult thing, by the way. I think we are at a level whereby we can actually afford. Every team can almost afford. I told you, by the time Enshaza can pay for the league and have a jersey, a new jersey, za Arua Park.
Having a Borussia Dortmund.
So by the time they can do that, finance is not the issue. At least for purposes of playing football. Maybe finance of building the stadium might become a bit of a problem, but to run the league, that's fine. The bigger issues are different. Is impact on the people, impact on the players, impact on those that we have fans. Anyway, kamureki. Takuzana mpira. Tuine na director one director, one producer wa NLL Echoes. Na wetakazana gampira. Aijasha mpira mugudu.
He's in Mugudu now.
But you know, you can understand him. You can go to a team. That's what I was telling you. If you merge Kafubs and Kasasi, there's no way.
There's
There's no way Davis will smell. Davis is struggling. You see, Bonsheka Fobs. Not a Bonsheka Fobs at the moment. Davis is not smelling. Nini ndaba touchline mshanga hakuominga ka bench. It's not smelling. I imagine you match them with Kasasi.
No never go to Chari na Rwanda. Predicament ni yemu.
If I were a TY coach, I would play this one.
The goat. The goat akatera goro kacheka katera goro against Kajogo.
You see, I like this episode because Zibo was my witness on that day. Zibo, I have very few witnesses on that day. No matter our game was a playoff. It didn't have the center of attraction. But Zibo, SF, and Kajogo TY guys saw the goal I squad. So when Zibo, tell them what happened. No, you've seen Abbott, you've seen Aaron. Suez has been struggling to score an overhead kick. I did that.
Eyeka kwata against Kajogo.
Kokubano niwo kwishuka gori yawe.
Eriemu. Omusaka ali afo.
Ni mutera monge. Bakamutere chana kari kata. Akananda gukura.
So like you had said earlier about the core values of this league, you mentioned the camaraderie. The friendships, the football actually comes comes like third, but then there's another one, and most of the members that have been there from day one, they've actually taken it up. It was to introduce us to our sisters and potential wives of Bweranyanji. Zibo managed to do it. I'm talking about the people who are there from the start. But Ferdinand, what's wrong? Why aren't you married up to now?
I should have known this question as well. Anyway, currently I am Bura's coach. Yes. And like I said, it's either pleasure or business. Now, the problem now is that Bura's team being my team, it is business.
You're not deriving any pleasure.
No, I cannot derive pleasure. No, but abantu nogumano wagambara ngo nka next year chindo nchibaho. Na no mucharo nchiba kumanya.
There is nothing as good as having power. You see, right now, I'm in a position of power over this man. But on another day, I'll say, I'm simple.
Ni waka kabuzo surely.
No matter it's nza kumuga mukuru wit Albert ahawe Lazaro. Nawe hata ninjira yashiro muri yana. Ebizubunu byo bumwe. Konga nashira kugira. Mutaro mutsigazi. Murumuna w'umugore sebo.
So yes, you were saying something else that
no, I actually thought you were talking about you talked about the core of the Lion League. My mind ran straight to the core of sport or Olympism, which includes friendship, things like that. That's probably
the man smuggled in marriage as a core of the league.
No. One of the cores of the Olympic movement is friendship. The last one. So whereas entire friendship stretches way back. So if you're telling Fadi to take that direction, it's not a bad piece of advice. But I mean, this is quite personal, so that is for him. It's his business. So should it be yours?
There's a team. There's a team that sought to take that Ntare Beras relationship a step further. Bashanga during that time there's no Berantare Sosh. They invited Beras FC for for Beranyanji girls for Sosh.
For debates. They were called for, invited for debates.
The deal was, let's make it a debate, but they come with changing clothes.
But that story is actually interesting. That story, I've listened to it several times. And Bakanjurangu, one of the organizers from Beranyanji, is a member of the current Beras team. And
an aspiring MP.
So member wakareta the girls bijabajure uniform kuba chire ntare analysts barebe imbere yabero abantare aba boys bajure amasuti ba babies bajure uniform.
They even had notebooks.
Bakatere nsumbwera yanje basindije abashomesa kuzagumba rebe challenge bo main hall. But abashwecho bakachikola every girl Rosheker 1-to-1 teacher to a girl.
Every teacher had
no manya no my stories and that is inshoneza niendo tugambire story ya bull na player waba wenshere
Bijirwa.
There's
an extension of that story. So Bijirwa had a brother called I forget his name. Karokora. He was called Karokora. Now, when Bijirwa slapped that cow, Karokora had shara. So like when we were going to slaughter a bull, we had the Muslim community. We even had the mosque in school. It was that serious, but the Muslim community that was following their things to the dot. Now, Karokora slaughters that bull. He's not a Muslim. Muslims are supposed to eat that bull as well, part of the school community. So, but are you a Muslim? At yes, that I'm a Muslim. What's your name? At Karokora bin Kamis. Get the knife. Where does it face? It faces north. But now the Muslims discovered the person who slaughtered the bull is not a Muslim.
Yaba haram.
But they rated. Headmaster so the headmaster to make amends. Karokora. Her punishment. Karokora worked in the DH for 2 weeks at Action. DH. All those things that cooks do. Karokora was doing that as punishment. So they were all in that
family business.
That thing.
Of Tijomes 1, the sitting in the dining hall was still under houses. So the captains would sit, would have the many bands. Bands were bands of cover problem, or extra tea during the other meals and stuff. When we became many, I think the next year, Commando Wabana agenda, I think the Kachanchari lot, there were too many. They allowed in too many kids, and then we started sitting in shifts. We never had shifts at the start, so we started getting shifts. So we needed to sit in classes, because of course S1s had started complaining.
That's a very interesting story. I didn't know.
S1s are not getting food.
By the time they would come, Shanga.
After the S1, Lakaro Humana, Okamba Mweta Ngwai. Do you remember Ngwai Muzibo? He was a rugby player.
He had come from Smack.
Yeah, so Abana Bamguisa. Bamguisa of bands. And I think we used to get bands on Tuesday and Friday. I think that's correct. Yeah? So Bamguisa Tuesday. A Friday no mechi ya kozire. Kutuachiri kutaham. Angwaya kayachiri. Makishana rucksack. Akagwisa S6 yona na S1. Ya utamu. Kama utamu ntano nishika katumeka ya kariyar kuijao. Akatere chikono. Turiyon tutahamu. Arjuna shwol.
The guys had taken that DH thing a step further. In our time, when I covered that habit, yogwisa. You reach there, Shanga boys yakozero. So there's a boy they were kamba muhaira, like a kawagwisize munonga. Wako muhaira this boy to date tukwendarie. So his table, when we lined up at the DH, the first 9 people were all the same table. That guy's table. What's the table leaders enter? Who mission where Namangu is going to serve that day? Boys are they don't know how he reached there. They didn't believe that. One of our teachers, a woman, I have to know you. We are not going to. Right now he's
a big boy. He's a big shot.
Boy. He's a leader in church. He's serious mnongo.
Owagamba church nanajangu ni MVP kongaye owagamba church na inda. Then do it.
We're already talking about food and drinks. Let's just online chupa. Our
cheers,
drink sponsor, and of course, Big Shots Photography for always capturing these wonderful moments. So, guys, President, me, I want to tell my potential electorate that I am going to step down for you. I am sorry to disappoint you, my people, but yeah, we have a better candidate.
There was a room of Aine Big Shots standing for the presidency.
No, Aine and I wanted to do a double pivot of presidency. And I want Menan and I want Mekag. Kokafadi at Stera back. Any last words as we head out to enjoy our night? People.
Well, from me to the entire NLL community is that there's now there's now a blueprint of how these things should be run, especially the election. But this also needs to involve the younger teams that are coming on board. The other day I saw there's a gentleman, not Pedro, the short gentleman, forgotten his name, Cliff. Cliff was complaining ABCD, and a few days later I saw his name being nominated to be an election observer on Saturday at the election. And I remembered my former president of his saying, so for everyone who's intending to serve, I mean, this is the time, and NL is here to stay, and we push the brand, we grow the brand, and see how it goes at the end of the day. Thank you.
For me, really, to first is to again declare that I want to be president. I want to achieve not too many things, about 3 things. Number 1, achieve the ground, if we can, with your support, with everyone's support. Number 2, to affect the people, to ensure that everyone's issue is attended to in the way that the league should. Number 3, and I think I did mention this, is to ensure that there's continuity in leadership. I have become, or I will become president if elected, because I have served on the committee somewhere in some sort of capacity or something like that. I've had visibility. So it's important now that we start to think about how do we grow capacity in the sense of expertise. So if, for example, we have a finance person to do accounts, how many people does he work with? 2, 3 people? Corporate relations. Does he go alone? Is he a lone ranger? Or does he go with 3, 4 people? So will there be someone to learn? Is there an understudy? If we have a president, do we have someone who is a mirror version of that president? Are they 2, 3 people? Do we have people to choose from to grow capacity? Now, that capacity might not only be for the league. It might be in where you are, because the skills that we hone in the league help you in your daily life. Correct? So that is something, that's the 3rd thing that I want to achieve. Just these things, and I am hoping for support from every team. Now, because I have to get there first, I must get the mandate. You know what's very interesting is that if we are elected, or if I am elected as president, the next game week will be mine. So it means
the next day. The elections are on Saturday.
Yes, that's what I did. The next game week from now, it means Aaron has done his part, and now I have to start my shift. That is if I'm elected.
Wow.
And I'll just have a couple of hours to do that.
Okay, and I want to ask you another thing before we head out. I'm coming to you, sir. So, Fadi, once you become president, what language are you going to conduct your meetings in? Because I've heard a rumor that the people who are also standing in these other positions, there is a gentleman called Tumutunjire Mwebembezi. First of all, he has no English name. At the book,
Niza kwetanga translator.
My last words would be, this is the first episode we're shooting since we lost my dear friend, and I want to take this opportunity on behalf of myself and on behalf of TY to appreciate the entire Lions League community for standing with us. Before Alan passed on, he had lost his father in Jan. So by the time of passing on, he was like the family's breadwinner. And we didn't know how we were going to go through that, organize his send-off and see him off. But the entire league came through for us. We organized his burial, and I want to thank you for the brotherhood, for coming together, for ensuring that we didn't lack, for ensuring that the boy was sent off in honor, and I think we should keep it up. We should always come through for our guys, maintain the brotherhood, and become our brothers' keepers. As I think that should be one of the values of the league. So we exhibited it very well and upon his passing, and we cannot thank you enough. So mwebale mnonga, and keep it up.
I agree.
I had hoped that we would end on not a very sad note, but it has come. But the advantage about it is that it exemplifies what this league is about. I remember Job sending a message on the group and saying, "This is entire Lions League," and for me that meant everything, because of how guys came through. I remember when Philbert passed on about 2 years ago.
3 now.
3 now, yeah? I remember, because of, forget everything, forget the money, forget the presence of the people, we actually buried Philbert, because everyone held a spade and put soil. Why? Is because the ground had been hard, so they were unable to build the grave, and so we had to fill it with soil, one or the other, and we did that. Every person there, of course, probably the weakest there was weeping, but we actually buried.
And Fadi, I think when you talk about the Philbert death, I do remember that very morning at the roundabout, the Nanya roundabout, at the scene. There was so much blood, and we bought buckets and brooms from Sinabel up that supermarket and washed the surface, washed the roads to try and, keep the place clean, and it was all in memory of his dignity as a gentleman. And most importantly, guys didn't share those pictures of that accident. But then you also remember we lost Cedric of Team Kafubs,
Yes.
and the other two young guys that also passed on. But over the years, the previous committees have kept in touch with the families, given awards to the families in remembrance for the players and the friends that we have lost. So for me, that NLL spirit, keeps moving forward. I'm not going to say that this will not happen again, because it's the world we live in. Things happen every day. But then if we can keep a very close bond with our friends and families, it's very important.
Guys, if we continue,
May cry.
Some tears might.
personally, I may not be as strong as you, so
I had that feeling.
thank you very much for coming through. Fadi, we wish you the best.
Thank you.
Zibo, your advice always welcome. No wajira your nonsense. And as we leave, of course, let me brag a bit. The president who has gone, who's going to hand over to you if you win, did not see ensure a loss. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful night.